best way to get a good recall is for a dog to be walking nicely on a lead and paying attention to its handler. One of the things that Jay was sadly lacking in when he came into our care, because he was manic on a lead, chased cars and had no recall whatsoever. Here Ben is teaching him to keep his attention on him, not to pull on the end of a lead. When he gets to the end, Ben brings him back in and makes a fuss of him. You've got to start with baby steps, early stages. Here he's learning you don't get to the end of the line and you come back when you're called and you get a fuss made of you. His attention is still constantly wanting to wander, but this is the early days. This is the start of his training and the start of him learning how to create a relationship with the handler that he's with. One of the problems that Jay has had is his behaviour towards other dogs. Although he likes other dogs and he wants to be with them, not every other dog likes it. Now Marley doesn't like other dogs in his company, but look at Jay. It would be totally wrong to let these dogs get together. One, it would ruin Marley, and two, it would let Jay think he can do exactly as he pleases. Too soon in his training to introduce anything like that. So instead, we go back to getting him to understand that once the short lead goes off and the long line goes on, he can have a little bit more freedom. This means you don't need to wait to sniff on the grass verge. You can do it because you're on the long line. But as a motor comes out, Ben stands him at his side, talks to him, and Jay watches it go past. Now this dog was a car chaser when he came in, but by keeping him calm, he's gradually getting to learn that he has to keep attention to his handler and do as his handler asks him to do, not go chasing off willy-nilly after anything he sees. Now he's on the long line, he's got more freedom. We're still at the early stages of doing anything about a recall, but we're starting to build on the foundation that we have with the lead walking. You notice now he's checking back on with Ben to see what Ben wants. He's checking back to see if he wants him to come back to him. Ben is slowly becoming more important than the sniffs on the grass verge. That's such a good start. It's education for the dog, but it's coming slowly. It can't be rushed. With dogs like this, everything has to be taken in stages. It doesn't come overnight. There's no miracle cure. It's hard work, but it's worth it in the end once you get there. You see, he saw something, Ben's called him and he's coming back. He has that more freedom than he had on the lead. He doesn't have to walk close at Ben's side, but neither is he allowed to go to the end of the line and pull. And you see, he doesn't, because he's been taught this on the shorter lead. So now, slowly but surely, the dog is starting to have that relationship that we're trying to create, which is good. He's not trying to dart off, he's looking around, Ben calls him, back he goes again. Patience, perseverance, and not two ways about it, hard work, but it's well worth it to have a good dog at the end of it. See the distance he's got now? Still on the long line, back he goes when he's called. Gets his little cuddle. The next stage is to see what Jay will be like with another dog when he's got a bit of freedom. We're not going to put him with a male dog, and we're not going to put him with a dog that is known to be aggressive with other dogs, but we are putting him with Tia, female, and a little bit like him. Pushes herself onto other dogs all the time, whether they like it or not. So between them, they have to learn how to interact properly instead of going in guns blazing. So they spent some time at the side of each other. Now we're putting them together. It's a little bit standoffish at first. Neither one of them knows what to do. Oh, hello, there's a camera woman, she says. Notice that around the edge of this playpen, we are all waiting to intervene, so it can't possibly go wrong. We'd never do this with two dogs and just leave them unattended to see what happened. You can see Ben's feet to the left. Josh is lurking in a corner somewhere watching, and of course I've got the camera, which I would have to drop if things went wrong. There's Ben. But the dogs are fine. We wouldn't expect it to go wrong. There's Josh. We wouldn't expect it to go wrong because we've done it carefully. Two dogs that like to play with other dogs, but are never been allowed to because of the way they upset other dogs. Male and female, both neutered. There's less chance of them actually being aggressive towards each other. And this is more about Jay than Tia, because Tia is not ready for homing yet, whereas Jay is. Now then, Ben calls them to him. They come across. No sign of any jealousy whatsoever, which is good. Now we start to mix in the playpen with them. Ben goes down to the bottom one. Josh stays in the top one, and the dogs just paddle about, quite happy. They've explored another playpen, and they're happy to share a water bowl together, which is good. There's nothing funny with either of them towards the other. And when they're called, they come. Jay goes straight up for a cuddle. He likes his cuddles, does our Jay. Off he goes again to find his little playmate. There she is. They're settling down now. They're not playing quite as strenuously as they did to begin with. And of course, Jay has to come back and have another cuddle. The next thing after this, now he's getting more used to being with other dogs, is to start him lead walking with another dog again. So we've chosen an older, more mature dog and a little bit calmer. And he is learning to settle. He's walking on the same side of her, and he's settled. The next big step for him is, how will we go about the recall? Will he actually respond now, or will he think he can do his own thing? Ben's taking the long line off him now and letting him run. We're not in a big paddock. It's a well-fenced one. Bigger than the gardens he's been used to going in, but not a massive field. The field is the next step. So this isn't the end of the line. There's still a lot more training to do. Ben's walking away and called him. Off he goes. Wow, got my freedom. Having an investigation at the bottom. This is quite testing, because down at the bottom of this paddock is myself with the camera, and there's Josh, who is also one of Jay's handlers. He's going back to Ben, and wow, he's got a smell and he's off. Think what would have happened if that had been out on an open moor and he'd have smelt a rabbit. He would have been off. It's still a testing time. You can never let a dog off a lead if you're not sure how he's going to behave. He's having a little bit of grub around in the grass. Ben's not going to waste his time keeping calling him. He goes to him. Puts the lead on him. Jay's not in any kind of trouble. He's not done anything wrong because he's still learning. Gives him a little stroke. Doesn't make too much of a fuss of him. Certainly doesn't get a titbit or anything. And off we go. Now the next thing now is to remind him what he's supposed to do. So we're back on the long line. Off he goes. Has a little bit of a wee. Marks his territory a bit. And Ben calls him back. In he comes. And he gets a cuddle. So he's having to keep getting reminders of what he's supposed to do. Oh yeah, he likes giving a paw, does our JJ. So we're going to try again now. The line's on the floor and Jay's loose. Ben calls him back. Wow, he comes running back, and off we go again. And he comes running back again. Oh, there he goes with the paw, and he has a cuddle, and off we go again. Third time this time. What's he going to do? Ben turns to walk away. Jay's running back down to Josh and me with the camera. Off he goes, enjoying his freedom. But this time Ben's going to play it slightly differently. He's going to go up to the top of the paddock, and he's going to call Jay back when there's an awful lot of distractions for Jay at this end. There he was talking to Josh, and off he goes. Now, that's a result. We still wouldn't be putting him in the big field yet, but that's a good result. He gets his hug, he gets his cuddle, and I do believe at this point he's earned his titbit. See, not all the time, just occasionally. To home this dog, he needs to be somewhere where there's either no other dog or a calmer or older dog. No children running about winding him up. Lots of time, lots of patience.